Hey there, it's Jake from GeoTargetly, and in this tutorial I'll be walking you through another one of our features, which is GeoBlock. GeoBlock lets you redirect the visitors from specific locations into, let's call it a geographically restricted customer page. So basically, in case you need some of your traffic from certain countries to not be able to hit certain parts of your websites or access them, you can use GeoBlock to do that. If you want to learn more about GeoBlock from a top level, just go over to our homepage, and under here, under GeoBlock, I already have it opened over here. Sorry, let me just minimize this. You can learn more about what the use cases are, how it works, and so on and so forth. Basically, most of our customers who are using GeoBlock are using it either because of compliance. Let's say that some of their content due to licensing might not be available for certain countries, which GeoBlock can help with, or due to legal reasons, such as they're not allowed to run their business in certain countries. Therefore, GeoBlock lets them prevent visitors from those countries to enter their page. Perfect. So let's visualize how GeoBlock actually works. So it's as simple as this. This is an excerpt from our guide on GeoBlock. You can find it over here under guide/GeoBlock. And basically, sorry, let me just return. Your visitor is about to enter your site, and as your site is being loaded, GeoTargetly tracking script, which needs to be implemented. I'll show you how to do that in a second. That tracking script detects the location of the customer, and if the location of the customer, let's say if they're from China or Nigeria, if you set GeoBlock in our application to prevent visitors from these countries, they will be redirected to a page of your choosing, or to a page that we crafted for you so that you do not need to create your own geographically restricted page, and therefore you will be able to comply with the consent regulation, which is if you are preventing users from visiting your page, you should disclose why that is. So we can take care of that for you as we have a page ready. Perfect. So now that we know how GeoBlock actually works, let's take a look into how to set it up. So we will be starting in the GeoTargetly application. I already logged in. This is the first thing that you see after you log in. And to implement GeoBlock, all we need to do is scroll down and click Add to Site on the GeoBlock. You can also access it from the sidebar over here. So let's just go Add to Site. First up, let's rename the setup. And then in the first step of the whole process of the implementation and setup process, what you need to do is you need to specify for which countries GeoBlock should be triggered. So the simplest way is to, I'm just copying GeoTargetly over here. The simplest way is to go for all pages of a website. And basically this means that you can implement GeoBlock on any page of your site. Having said that, you do not need to implement it across your site, but from a setup perspective, this is the simplest. I'll show you in a second how to navigate the other two options over here, but let's just stick with this one for a second so that we go through the basic setup, then I'll return to it. So that's the domain on which GeoBlock should be triggered. Then this disclaimer over here needs to be agreed to. Basically, this disclaimer is saying that even though you're implementing GeoBlock in order to prevent visitors from accessing your site, it is not a 100% blocking solution. What I mean by that is that there are ways around it. They're not super simple, but it can be done. The easier one would be visitors using VPNs. Such as if you're preventing visitors from, let's say, China, if they are from China and they use a VPN, they are able to kind of bypass the blocking. Or the other way to do it would be by disabling JavaScript on your site. So let's say that the visitor has an ad block installed, and that ad block is able to prevent JavaScript from being loaded on your site. That means that they would be preventing the GeoTargetly tracking code from being fired, and therefore we are not able to determine the location of the visitor. The second one is very hard for us to do anything about, the prevention of JavaScript, because that's kind of a browser level mitigation. But for the first one, for the VPNs and the proxies, we are currently working on introducing a second level of information into GeoTargetly, which is proxy level data, which should help us prevent the VPN walkarounds around the GeoBlock. Perfect. That's everything that needs to be done on the first page. Then on the second page, basically you need to set up your location rules. Pardon me. In the location rules, this is the same as for every other of our products. So let's say that I want to target, I don't know, let's say that I'm a European company and I cannot run my business in North America or in Americas in general. So what I would do is I would go into add location rule, I would select continent region and then do North America. This adds all the countries from North America, and let's say that I also want to add content region and South America, and that will be adding more countries over here. So let's say that this is the location setup that I want to use. Having said that, as you might have seen over here, the content/region is not the only level of targeting that we offer. You can also target on the level of countries, states or regions, cities, even latitude and longitude, pin and radius around it, and IP address and IP address range. One more thing that I wanted to mention over here is that if you take a look at this setup and if you compare it with our other features such as geo redirect and so on, you might see that there's no location segment that's called all other locations, and this location segment is present in the other features in the other products. The reason for this is that if we had the option to trigger the blocking for all other locations, that would mean that nobody would be able to hit your site. Therefore, for GeoBlock, it's only the defined location segments, and we could say, okay, that for this segment we would be leading customers to site A, but for this segment we would be leading them to site B. That's why we can add multiple location segments. I won't be needing that today, so I'll just delete this and let me return here. Now that we're happy with our locations, the next thing that we need to do is we need to set up a block URL. And basically there are two ways around setting blocking URLs. You can either use a custom URL, and in that case you need to type in your geographically restricted page that's hosted on your domain. But what we saw in quite a few cases was that our customers were using GeoBlock to redirect unwanted visitors to just, I don't know, google.com or something like that. And for these customers, what we created is this default blocking URL, which I will be using today, and you'll see it in action in a second. So this is another thing another option that you have. You can either send them to a specific site or a specific URL, or you can use our pre-made geographically restricted page. Then we have the third step, which is the allow listing for IP addresses and disabling GeoBlock for testing via URL query parameter. I'll return to these two in a second once I implement it into the site. So let's go for next. And the last thing to do is just save the setup. Once the setup is saved, a tracking code, the JavaScript tracking code will be generated for you, and all you need to do is implement this code into your site. This is where we return a bit to the first step, which is how do we choose which page to implement it for. So because it really ties into the tracking code, and with the tracking code, basically the difference is like what pages do you implement it for. So for our purpose, let's say that on my whole website, there is just one single URL that I want to prevent visitors from accessing. And that can be achieved in several ways. First up, you can do it by, on the first page, just selecting all of the pages of your site. So no matter what page, as long as it is hosted on this domain, if you implement the code into it, it will work. And you would only implement the tracking code for one specific page. So it would not be a site-wide code, but for one specific page. Alternatively, if you switch over here, you can select the pages that you want the GeoBlock to run on by using the page inclusions over here. So I can define that the URL is equal to, so that would be just a single page, and I can use multiple of those, basically define multiple rules, or I can say the URL contains, so every page either starting with something or containing something, or if a query contains something, query meaning at the end of your URL, if you add a question mark with a parameter, that's the query, or a hash, that's just a hash sign and after the the URL. So you can use all of these options to create a mapping of multiple pages. Let's say that, I don't know, for pages containing product, I want that to happen, but also there's a specific blog page that I don't want to display. I would be using that over here. Or if I return to the first step, let's say that I want to run it sidewise, apart from 2-3 pages, I can use page exclusions for that. And in the same manner as I showed you the page inclusions, you can see that I can define the mapping of, hey, even though I'm running the blocking site-wide, these 5 pages, I want visitors from these specific countries to be able to access. Let me just rename this so it's North America plus South America. And finally, the last option in the first step is the GeoBlock specific page only. And basically, if you use this option, you need to define the page specifically. It needs to be that precise page. Otherwise, even though the tracking code is present on the other pages, it won't action. So let's say that for our purposes, I will be blocking this page, HTML5 geolocation. So I'll just take this and it's the only URL that I want to block. So what I'll do over here, I'll just paste it over here because that's the simplest for me. Then I need to go to the last step once again. And on the last step, I need to, or anywhere in the setup, I need to hit save. But on the last step, I need to take the tracking code. And then I need to go into the CMS to implement the tracking code. I already have that page loaded over here, the page that I want to be blocking. And this is specific for Webflow, but I'll show you in a second how to implement it for other platforms. But in Webflow specifically, you just hit the cogwheel over here, scroll all the way down, and you need to put the script over here. And as you can see, we are adding it to the head tag of the HTML. So the head tag is over here, and generally speaking, for GeoTargetly, it's best to implement as high as possible when implementing into the head tag, because the higher you implement it, the sooner it will load. Meaning the faster the action of GeoTargetly, the blocking will be faster when the page is loading. Right now, I'll just hit save over here, and then I will go into publish, and I'll publish it to our production page. While this loads, I want to show you several other things. First thing being the resources for the GeoBlock. So basically, if you go into our site, let's say that we are on this is the GeoBlock page, you can navigate to resources, and under here there's docs and guides. If I go into the docs, I see the kind of library of resources for every product that we have, or every feature that we have. And under here, I can either go into these links. Let's just select docs right now, or I can click on the quick start guide. For the quick start guide, we have this short presentation that you can access. It's pretty much a counterpart to what I'm currently walking you through, just in a kind of PowerPoint or slideshow version, but it shouldn't take you too long of a time. If you do not prefer videos, this is a great alternative. Or if you go into the docs, this is our whole kind of help page, and this is a help page specifically for GeoBlock, and everything that I'm walking through right now is explained over here. So basically, what you want to do if you have a more dedicated problem, then this video is able to solve. Pardon me, just navigate over here. Also, what I wanted to show you, as I mentioned, is that I was showing you how to implement it for Webflow in this video, but we understand that not all companies run on Webflow. Therefore, in the docs, you can see that the implementation information is present for the other platforms as well. So if you want to if you want to use that, feel free to navigate this over here. That should have a detailed information about how to implement it for your specific platform. If none of these resources are covering the issue that you are facing, you can also reach out to us for kind of hands-on support. You can either do that via our intercom over here, which in the working hours we offer chat support, but outside of working hours we offer email support at support@geotargetly.com. So that's another option to get in touch. Cool, let's take a look if it published already. Perfect. So we are now published, which is amazing. And now let's test it. For the testing, if I return to this page, this was loaded from before. That's one thing. A second thing, I'm currently located in Czech Republic, therefore it shouldn't be blocking me. So first up, let's try that it's not blocking me from Czech Republic. And as you can see, it's not, which is amazing. The first way to test whether the blocking is happening correctly is to use a VPN. And for the VPN, let's just connect to United States. I should be connected. And if I hit refresh, the GeoTargetly code should, and it correctly determined my location. You might have seen there was a bit of a delay, a fraction of a second, but that's because I'm using a VPN, so the data is pinging all around the world. If I were to use, if I really was in the United States, this would be instantaneous. So that's the one thing to test. You can see that I'm correctly being prevented, and this is the geographically restricted customer page. And basically what it says, it references the original domain. So basically, even though this page is hosted on geotargetly.com, once your blocked visitors get here, they will see your domain. But as I was as I implemented it for geotargetly, that's why it's saying geotargetly, but let's say your page is acme.com, it will be referenced over here, and therefore you will be complying with the need to give your visitors information why they are not able to enter your site. So that's the first thing that I wanted to show you. But there's another way to test, and I think that's even a better way to test, and that is by using our built-in test mode. So if I return over here, you can see that there's test mode, and in order to set up test mode, basically what test mode does is it lets you simulate any visitor location. What you'll need for that is your IP address. This is once again our free tool, and as I'm using a VPN, it's kind of tells me that I'm in New York, so I'll just grab my IP address, and if I return over here, I paste the IP address, and let's say that I want to simulate Venezuela. Perfect, Venezuela. What I'll need to do also is hit on for the test mode and then hit save. Cool. Now, basically, once again, the page should be blocked for me because I'm telling GeoTargetly, act as if I was accessing the page from Venezuela. So if I go over here, let's say GeoTargetly, then I'll just scroll to the footer because this is the page that I want to access. And you can see once again a bit of a delay because not only I'm in Czech Republic, but I'm using a VPN for US and then simulating Venezuela. But once again, if I was really a user from Venezuela, this would be an instantaneous redirection. So that's the correct way to do it. Perfect. Now there's just two more things that I want to walk you through, and that is how to prevent the blocking for specific users, even though their location criteria meets the rules that you set up. So let's say that I have a colleague in Venezuela, and I want them to be able to access the page, even though generally speaking, people from Venezuela shouldn't be able to do that. There are two ways you can do it. First way being just taking the IP address of that person, returning to the advanced and listing the IP address over here, clicking add. Now a person using this IP address, even though they met the location criteria defined here, they should be able to enter the page. Or what you can do, which is not IP address related, because let's say that this person, my colleague in Venezuela or a specific client in Venezuela, they are not on a static IP address, they move around a lot, therefore the IP changes, and they need a consistent way to be able to access the site. What you can do then is use disable geoblock option. You need to turn it on, and you can define a custom parameter to be able to use with the blocking. We suggest something like block equals disable, or just let's go with block equals off. If I save it right now, I do not need to do anything in the Webflow. Basically, the implementation over here, this is the only thing that you need to do, and you need to do it once. Any change that you do within this setup in GeoTargetly, it's automatically reflected when you hit save. You do not need to handle the CMS in any way further. So we're still simulating Venezuela, but we're using this IP address. So if I go into that page, once again, sorry, let's just go back into GeoTargetly and let's hit this. I should be able to remain on the page because, as you see, I allow listed that IP address. But if I turn off the the test block, the test mode, now still I'm allowed because of the IP address. So if I return here and click this and I hit save, I am prevented. Let us just test that very quickly. Yes, you can see I'm prevented, but for the same page, still using US, if I take this link, put it over here, and if I add question mark and block equals off, if I hit that, I will be able to enter that page because I'm currently using this option over here. But if I turn it off and save it and return over here, I still have the block equals off. If I refresh it now, I am prevented from accessing the page. Once again, sorry about the slight delay there, but this is not normal. This is just because of how I'm testing it in a convoluted way. The VPN here is not necessary, but I'm trying to kind of obscure my IP address, my personal one. Perfect. One more thing that I wanted to show you is how to know whether GeoBlock is working on your site. There are several ways to do that. Let me turn off the VPN. And if I return over here to GeoTargetly, now I should be able to access it. So first thing that you are able to test or look into GeoTargetly running on your site is if you return to the setup and the tracking code, you can see that it's running on this domain, and then it's geoblock ID and the ID of your setup. What you can do is if you go into the page that should be blocked and into the network, and you enter geoblock ID, and if you refresh, you should see that there's a script being called, and also you can check whether the ID of the setup is the same as the one in the displayed in the application. So that's one thing. Another thing that you can do is if you grab this domain, and if you open it up, it should show you where the GeoTargetly, or which server the GeoTargetly data is coming from, because we have, I believe, like 9 servers across the whole world. So this tells me that my data is currently flowing from the Europe West node. That's another way to test. And finally, if you want to look into how many times GeoTargetly actually prevented the access to the site, you can access the analytics over here. First up, in the summary page, it will show you that overall there were 8 attempts to visit that site, and 5 of those were prevented. And you can also see this as for each location segment. You will see the 5 here, but let's say that there was another location segment that would be, I don't know, Africa, and this would be 5 pages or 5 preventions. The Africa would be 2. This bar over here would be 7, and you can break down like which location segment, how many preventions actually came from. Perfect. I believe that's everything that I wanted to share with you in regards to GeoBlock. Let me just consult my notes very quickly. Yes, I believe that's it. So the only thing that remains for me to say is thank you so much for watching, dedicating the time to learn more about GeoBlock, and I hope you'll have a great day.